Dr. Humphrey Nwosu. President Tinubu receives Ghanaian President John Mahama at Asarok, Abuja. On the foreign scene, 6 Russians dead, 39 tourists rescued after submarine sink in Red Sea of Egypt. Good evening, this is News at 7 on Western Spring Television. My name is Olufemi Alagbe. The House of Representatives has rescinded its decision on the second reading of a bill for an act to remove the immunity conferred on the Vice President, state governors and their deputies. The bill was said to be introduced to curb corruption, eradicate impunity, and enhance accountability in public office. However, the House rescinded the second reading passage, saying the rescission was based on the need to subject certain provisions of the bill to debate. The House also rescinded its decision on a bill to abolish the death penalty. Meanwhile, a bill for an act to alter the provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, to provide for the office of the Prime Minister as head of government and the office of President as head of state, as well as to provide for a framework for the mode of election to the said offices, passed second reading in the House of Representatives today.
I rise to move for a rescission of the resolution of the House on HBs 1664 and 2120 pursuant to Order 9, Rule 16 of the Standing Orders of the House of Representatives. That the House do note that the debate on the general principles of the under-listed constitutional alteration bills were debated and referred to the Committee on Constitutional Review for further legislation. That is 1, a bill for an act to alter the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended to qualify the immunity conferred on the President, remove the immunity conferred on the Vice President, the governors, and their deputies in order to curb corruption, eradicate impunity, and enhance accountability in public office and for related matters, HB 1664. And the other is a bill for an act to alter the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 to review the penalties for certain capital offenses in alignment with relevant international best practices and for related matters, HB 2.
In the meantime, the House of Representatives has called on the federal government to investigate the excessive use of explosives by quarry companies nationwide and especially in the Federal Capital Territory. The House took the decision on Thursday after adopting a motion of urgent public importance brought before it during plenary by the member representing Ifelodun of Onyo Federal Constituency, Kwara State, Tijani Ismail. The lawmaker informed the House that Zabaz Quarry, located along Arab Road in Kubwa, Abuja, has been operating with significant negative impact on the surrounding communities, particularly in relation to degradation of houses, buildings, and other infrastructural decay. According to him, heavy-duty trucks transporting materials from the quarry have deteriorated road infrastructure, leading to increased vehicular accidents, economic losses, and mobility challenges for residents. He added that the activities of quarry companies violate the Nigerian Minerals and Mining Act 2007, which prohibits mining operations that endanger human life, property, and the environment. A member of the House of Representatives, Clara Nwebuefe, has defected from the Young Progressive Party to the All Progressives Grand Alliance. Honorable Nwebuefe, who represents Uruba North, Uruba South Federal Constituency in Anambra State, cited her exclusion from party activities as the reason for her defection. A letter of defection was read on the floor of the House during today's plenary by the Deputy Speaker, Benjamin Kalu, who presided in the absence of the Speaker, Tajuddin Abbas. Honorable Nabwefe stated that her new party would afford her a better platform to represent the aspiration of her constituency.
Notification of resignation from the Young Progressive Party and defection to the All Progressive Grand Alliance, ABGA. I write to formally notify you and the honorable members of this esteemed house of my resignation from YPP with immediate effect. This decision has become necessary following my exclusion from the activities of the party in Anambra State, which has hindered my ability to effectively engage in the party's affairs and represent in the interests of my constituents through that platform. After extensive consultations with my constituents and political associates, I have resolved to align with the All Progressive Grand Alliance, ABGA, which I believe provides a more inclusive and effective platform for the fulfillment of my legislative mandate and service to my people. In light of this, I kindly request that this notification be duly communicated to the House and recorded in its proceeding. Please accept the assurances of my highest regard, Honorable Princess Chinwe Clara Nnabuife.
In the Red Chamber, a bill which would empower the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to hold general elections in same day has held second reading in the Senate. The bill aims to amend the Electoral Act 2022 to curb rising election costs, shorten campaign periods, and allow elected office holders to serve as ad hoc delegates in party congresses. Leading the debate on the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2025, Senators Saliu Mustafa highlighted the unsustainable cost of elections, which has ballooned from 1.5 billion naira in 1999 to 150 billion naira in 2023. He underscored that target elections are expensive, inefficient, and contribute to voter fatigue. While the proposal received strong backing from several senators, some lawmakers expressed concerns over the capacity of INEC to handle nationwide elections in a single day. Among them was Senator Adams Oshiomhole, who cautioned against rushing into the reform without ensuring the electoral body's readiness. The same Senate has thrown out a motion seeking to rename the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC headquarters, after the late Professor Humphrey Nwosu, the former chairman of the defunct National Electoral Commission, NEC, who oversaw the June 12, 1993 presidential election. The motion was re-sponsored by Senator Inyanya Abaribe during today's plenary session after lawmakers threw it on Wednesday. Senator Abaribe called for posthumous national honors to be conferred on Nwosu in recognition of his role in Nigeria's democratic evolution. However, the proposal sparked a heated debate once again, with lawmakers deeply divided over Professor Nwosu's legacy. After intense deliberations, most senators rejected the motion through a voice vote. Meanwhile, the Southeast Caucus of the Senate has appealed to President Bola Tinubu to immortalize Professor Nwosu for his role in ensuring that the historic June 12, 1993 presidential elections held.
That election has been adjudged up to today the freest and fairest election in the history of Nigeria. Mr. President, any Nigerian that googles internet, which election is the freest and fairest election in Nigeria is the June 12 presidential election. Professor Humphrey Nwosu, a professor of political science from the prestigious University of Nigeria, a civil servant, before he was appointed in 1989, did his best, despite the pressure from Babangida government, despite the court order, Mr. President, allow me, despite the court order by Justice Payment that stopped the election, despite all the threats from the military cabal, the man still went ahead to conduct the freest and fairest election. Was it Professor Humphrey Nwosu that made Justice Saleh from Katangum Emirate from Bauchi? Mr. President, many of my colleagues have stood up here and said he conducted the free and fairest election. There are three different meanings and three different interpretations that we should look at: conducting election, releasing results, and announcing results. Yes, he conducted the election. Yes, school of thought said he releases all the results. But you and I know releasing results is not the same thing as announcing results. He failed at the critical moment when he's supposed to salvage this democracy. Today we celebrate Abiola, or those people who have contributed to the success story of June 12, because they laid their life, they put their life on the line. If he is coward to withdraw in doing what is right, and sending to the people, to the younger people, that you can be celebrated if your courage failed you. You can be celebrated if you do common things uncommonly bad. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the very best you can do, maybe just 1 minute honor, but to attempt to do anything further would be to rubbish the memory of MK Abiola and to add insult to the injury.
Prayer one. All the federal government to immortalize him by naming the INEC headquarters in Abuja after him. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. Nay. The nays have it. Further urges the federal government to posthumously honor him with national honors. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. Nay.
In another development, President Bola Tinubu today received his Ghanaian counterpart, John Mahama, at the Aso Rock Villa, Abuja. President Mahama's visit to the presidential villa is his first official coming since his inauguration on January 7, 2025. Both leaders are expected to focus on strengthening diplomatic ties between Nigeria and Ghana, as well as discussing key regional issues within the economic community of West African status. Shortly after winning the presidential election in December 2024, President Tinubu had visited the then president-elect in Accra. The Nigerian leader expressed confidence in his leadership to promote regional peace and collaboration.
Twofold: to thank him for the honor done me during my inauguration, but also to brief him on a visit I made to the Sahelian countries, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, and to bring him up to date with some of the issues that I discussed with him. As ECOWAS chairman, it's my duty to come and brief him on some of the concerns that were raised there, so that we continue to see how to dialogue with those other countries.
Most definitely, sir. The region will be willing to have the three Sahelian countries back. Any good news from them?
Well, it's a complicated situation, and it's not as easy as we might think, but we just need to continue to dialogue and see how we can continue to.
I feel good that it's here in the first place, and I'm indeed very happy of the effort is made to have a bridge between the AES countries and the ECOWAS. It's not a bad idea for us because of the security situation in the Sahel region and what economic opportunity that we must embark to ensure security of life and properties of our citizens. The innocent people in this episode are the citizens of those countries. Not much about us, the leadership. The citizens must be the first, beneficiary and the first part of
Here in Osun State, for a sixth consecutive night, hundreds of residents who were displaced as a result of the Resurgence of the communal crisis in Ifon, Ilobu and Osun has left in difficult conditions in areas around the Jutsu Bridge. This comes amid the 24-hour curfew imposed on the communities by Governor Ademola Adeleke, and after his directive for holding camps to be established for displaced people. Joseph Atewe completes the story.
It is 6:50 p.m. here at the Ojutu Bridge, which leads to Ifon, Ilobu, and Osun, and many of the hundreds of displaced residents, including women and children, are getting ready to break their fast by the roadside, shops, filling stations, and even uncompleted buildings, while many watched on without any hope of food or water. Miriam Adeshola, a 56-year-old woman, will for the 6th night sleep by the roadside with hopes that what she described as a nightmare will come to an end by daybreak. Wrappers were laid for kids to sleep. Some of them were seen sleeping outside filling stations, and for many, whatever space they see, they lay their heads, even as they battle with mosquitoes. Mrs. Adeshola explained to us that the night is always too long for many of them because of the struggle they go through just to sleep.
Gbangba ta lanson nta gbangba lanson kò sóúnjẹ àrùn jẹjẹ ẹ dákun ẹ wá ṣe ṣàánú wo ẹ fàánú gbà wá nílé rẹtí o ẹ fàánú gbà wá àwọn òróúnjẹ kankan o àròúnjẹ o àánú la dúró fún o àánú la dúró fún àròúnjẹ kankan wájú ta gbangba ẹni láti tẹ̀ níbi tá a wà náà láti sàn lórí èkìsà aṣọ ẹ dákun tá a bá fẹ́ kírun orí ga èkìsà náà ní lórí ọ̀rá níwájú ta níbẹ̀ là ń tí ń kírun ẹ ṣàánú wo ẹ dákun ẹ̀yin ìjọba.
According to Alhaji Rabiu Jimo, the Baale of Ojutu, who has practically turned his house to a campground for many of the displaced persons to sleep, the situation will only get out of hand if the Osun State government does not intervene as soon as possible, while also stating that the people are suffering. He believes the only solution will be for the state government to reduce the 24-hour curfew. Alhaji Jimo also stated that no food or water has been shared or given to any of the displaced persons, contrary to the news making the rounds.
Ìbànújẹ́ ọkàn tí ò dúró dáa pàápàá gbogbo àwọn tó ń wáyé ni wọ́n ń sàsálẹ̀ ẹ̀mí wọn ni wá síbi láti wá pé kánú òsèké ni kánú ń borí bọ́ pẹ̀lú ìwàhálà tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ kọ́nà ilé ìdùnnú rẹ̀ kọ́nà bá dẹ́fù ẹni. Olúkálùkù ẹni tí ó sùn èdè òde ẹni tí ó sùn mosque inú ilé ti kún pálọ̀ tá a wá fún àwọn èèyàn ọ́fíìsì tá a wá fún àwọn èèyàn ó ti kún tí ò sí àyè kankan mọ́ jẹ́ pé ní gan àti jẹ́ngán òdogun ọ̀wọ́ nǹkan tá a rí nìyẹn kọ́nà ilé ìdùnnú rẹ̀ bá dẹ́fù lockdown tẹ́tẹ̀ sí yẹn ó ti lágbára jù 24 hours ó ti lágbára jù kò sí freedom of movement kan láti pé káwọn èèyàn lọ káwọn èèyàn bọ̀ sẹ́kọ̀lẹ̀ ọ̀nà àtijọ́ àti mu oúnjẹ yìí sì ni number 1 àkọ́kọ́ ọ̀tá àkọ́kọ́ nù oúnjẹ wa sọ̀dọ̀ tí a ò oúnjẹ wa sọ̀dọ̀ tí a ò.
At about 7:05 p.m. yesterday, our attention was brought to what some of the displaced persons tagged as a pressing issue. Jamiu Adeyemi told us that some persons have allegedly started sleeping with some of the girls there. This was also echoed by Miriam, another displaced person, who told us that days ago, a small boy allegedly escaped being kidnapped by unknown persons, which they say is very disturbing.
Àwọn ọmọ kékèké kódà ọmọ mi gan bí ọmọ oṣù mẹ́jọ mò ń gbé mọ́ra làjọ sùn lórí mọ́sìn lẹ́sẹ̀ títì tí ó sì yẹ kó rí bẹ́ẹ̀ gbogbo àwọn ìyàwó wa ni wọ́n àwọn ọmọ gẹ̀ẹ́fẹ́ wá gbé láti ògbóró kódà àwọn àti ìran ọmọ kẹ̀kẹ́ báyìí ẹsẹ̀ títí làásù kí wọ́n jọ torí kẹjọ torí Ọlọ́run oúnjẹ jẹ́ ni wọ́n gbé fún wa àárí oúnjẹ kankan òní ló di ìjẹjẹ tí mo ti jẹ kẹ́yìn à ń tọrọ owó ní ẹsẹ̀ títì láti fi mu pure water kíjọba ọjọ́ kẹjọ kẹ máa sí wálé eléyìí ti tó kẹjọ torí Ọlọ́run.
Ní irú bíi sáìtì ọ̀dọ̀ wa ní ìsìn ní àtura ní ọ̀nà inú sáìtì ó ní ọmọ kékeré kan tí wọ́n rán níṣẹ́ tó jẹ́ pé ọmọ yẹn mọ́mí rẹ̀ kàn rán wá sí junction tí wọ́n lé ọmọ yẹn bọ̀ Ọlọ́run ló ní pé kọ́ ọmọ yẹn gan kó lè sá aré tó sá àti ariwo tó pa làwọn èèyàn fi jáde sí ọmọ yẹn Ọlọ́run sì ṣe ìwòrán ọmọ yẹn gbé wọ́n ráwọn ẹnìyẹn mú.
It would be recalled that the Osun State government yesterday released a statement which states that an emergency agency will be providing food materials and accessories for the displaced people while the situation normalizes. And the emergency agency has also reached out to NEMA for further support. But as at the time we visited on Thursday, the people disclosed that nothing of such has been done by the Osun State government. They are now begging the Osun State government to please come to their aid as the suffering is becoming too much. Joseph Atewe, Western Spring Television News.
Moving on, students under the umbrella of the National Association of Nigerian Students, Osun State chapter, took to the streets today to protest the worsening insecurity in the state. The demonstrators, primarily from Owo Polytechnic, blocked Oba Adeshida Road near the A Division in Akure, chanting, "Enough is enough," and demanding urgent government intervention. The students decried the frequent abduction of their colleagues, alleging that kidnappers often kill victims even after collecting ransom. You're watching News at 7 on Western Spring Television. Still to come, President Tinubu approves NCDMB Governing Council nominees. We'll bring you more of this when we return.